while I was gone in WWF in '95, and you started managing the Pitbulls.
Yep.
Was there much of a learning curve there? Was there? Did they know how to use you properly? Were they teaching you things as they went along? I know you, like, from that first night that I met you, that I remember meeting you at Lost Battalion, you looked incredibly uncomfortable.
The promos made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Not so much. I mean, I to this day, we were talking about it earlier, I always get nervous coming through the curtain.
Yeah.
I get nervous if I have to make an entrance. Like when I did Colt Cabana's thing, I felt weird walking on stage. You know, like I'm like, oh my God, what if nobody pops? Like I get nervous. I just get nervous. What if no one comes to my table? It's a psyche with me. I don't know. What was the question? What did you ask me?
About like learning with them.
Oh, learning with the Pitbulls, yeah. So I found it harder as I got more experience. I found it harder to work with a tag team than to work with an individual, because when you have 3 cooks in the not that I was a cook, because I didn't really in the beginning I really didn't say too much, but when you have 2 guys, one might tell you one thing and then the other one says, oh no, she should do it this way, or why did you do that? Well, he said to do this. It was harder for everybody to be on the same page.
Sure.
And then especially if you had tag matches, now you got 4 people. So as much as, you know, it was a good learning experience, I much rather would work with one individual than 2.
Yeah. In doing that, well, I'm just thinking in my head out loud, and I'll say it, then I'll goes back to a question. When you're working with 4 guys, your Pitbulls, their opponents, wrestlers tend to have a sort of fast forward in their head. So she's at ringside with the guys that we're wrestling, so let's give her some spots.
Yeah.
Not understanding that you don't really know how to yet do that, or like, was there much of that? Like, were you ever being asked, I guess posing the question this way, were you ever being asked by their opponents, by the Pitbulls, to do things that you really weren't trained to do, comfortable doing, and could have very likely gotten hurt doing?
So again, it was learning as you go. So there were bumps that I was taking that I've never taken before, I've never heard of before. Like total elimination. Like we would work with the eliminators, and I loved Perry and I loved Cronus. They were great guys. But that was one of the most brutal bumps that I think I've ever taken in my life. It's just, Cronus's ass was so huge. And he was the jumper. So he would come high and Perry would go low. And he would land on my face every single time I would take, and it hurt. I mean, so you're going down, always hitting my head, and then having a big ass fall on your face. Like that wasn't a fun bump to take.
But also could have been dangerous.
It could have been, but everything could be dangerous, and you know that when you go through the ring rope. So I was okay with it, and again I said, well, you're going to be the first girl to take it. You want to take it? Well, hell yeah, I want to take it. You know what I mean? Because then she's the first one to do it. So that was my mindset. I was always scared. There was never a minute where I was not scared to do something. Always scared, but always up for the challenge. You know, I never wanted to practice beforehand unless it was me giving you something. Then I needed to know a technique. Am I doing this right? Am I grabbing this right? Blah, blah, blah. But taking a bump, I felt like you were in control. You could guide me. So I'm going to put my trust in you. So I never wanted to practice that. Because if I did it once, I might not want to do it again. Might not want to do it again. So that was the only thing like in my mind. But as far as like doing a spot, I think I was always the type of person, and I think you know this about me, I used to sit and listen to the whole match because I didn't want to just know my cue. I wanted to know 2 or 3 steps beforehand. Then I thought if I understood the psychology and I understood what you guys were doing, if for some reason something goes awry with you, I'd be able to help you or the person that I'm with. You know what I mean? So sometimes I would just try and focus, like mainly on my stuff, but if I knew what was going on, like if you're looking for a chair, I know where that chair is.
Yeah.
I'll run over, I'll grab it, and I'll give it to
Sure.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Just try to be helpful if I can.
Right. Yeah.
So I learned as I went, and I think the more I concentrated on the whole match, like my timing got better and better.
Sure.
Because I never waited until like the last minute. I always knew 2 or 3 steps ahead of time, like when my spot was coming.
Sure. Yeah.
So
with the Pitbulls, and I'm trying to like taking a heat in the direction. But like, how long did you work with them?
I think we were together like 11 months. It wasn't even a year.
So it was a good chunk of time. Because when I came in, first of all, I'm sure you remember the night that I met you. Remember meeting you when you're sitting there reading the book and looking in the library.
I always read a book because I didn't want to bother anybody.
Sure. And you were sitting there quiet as a church mouse. And you had gone back sometime. This is my first night back from La La Cartoon Land up there. And I'm back like a pig in shit, right? I'm really having fun being back with my friends, meeting the new people that were there, and watching the show. Didn't have a match to worry about. I never saw you get up to get changed. So after the show, when I came back, and you came out in the Pitbull gear, black leather.
The worst outfit ever.
You didn't look like the girl I'd seen sitting there. So I assumed you were somebody else.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And then I was watching. If you remember, I used to always watch all the promos because I would learn from it. I also like to give pointers and help. And you looked so uncomfortable on camera that I felt bad. And I just and I didn't see Gary or Anthony or Paul or anybody. You were just sort of like nervously getting through this, and it was no good on camera. So I just came up and grabbed you. And if you remember, we walked over behind the pillar. And I said, like, what are you so nervous about? And what, at that moment, like after, and you did a much better take on the last one. But I remember thinking, like, she listened. She's trying to do the things that I told you to do. And it just pegged me that you had like Donnie say, keep your brain open, and not ever at that moment even thinking like, you're with them. Like that was that spot that I saw you in.
Yeah.
And later, Paul had come to me with the idea when he was creating the franchise character, and said, "I want to put you with Francine." And I said, "Who's Francine?" I was only back there very, very short time, 1 or 2 shows, and he said, "The girl you help, she's with the Pitbulls." I said, "Oh, well, yeah, she's great." And he said, "I don't know what you did to her, but just keep doing it." And
I got franchised.
Yeah, he told me, he said, like, just keep teaching her. And I, fortunately, at that point in my career, had been to all those other places and had learned all this stuff the hard way,
Right.
I was the same as you were, didn't know shit.
Well, the problem, if I may just cut you off, like going into this locker room, there weren't many female figures. Like Nancy Sullivan was, she was the girl, the main.
And Nancy was great, but
Nancy was great.
Hanging around with
Kevin, she had Kevin and her little clique, and then Sherry was there one night, and bless her heart, she talked to me, and we hung out. Yeah, she was great, and she's like, I can't wait to work with you and all this. But then she went, I believe, to Harlem Heat. She went to WCW. The next show, she was gone. Yeah. I never had a female to take me under their wing and help me.
Yeah.
With the Pitbulls, as much as I liked them, they didn't, I don't want to say they didn't help me, but I didn't learn from them the way I learned from you. You and I used to sit there, we used to talk psychology and promos and stuff like that. When I would be in the car with them, they'd be talking about like the clubs and doing this and that, and I'd just be sitting there like, okay. It was a different dynamic, and I'm grateful for the time that I spent with them.
Absolutely.
I'm not talking ill, but I didn't get that. It wasn't the learning tree. I didn't get too much out of it, learning what, except for being out there and doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like you said earlier, but not rushing into the spot.
Yeah, like learning as I went. Yeah. I watched how they worked, and they were kind, don't get me wrong, but I didn't have the guidance that I wanted.
Sure.
And, you know, Paul would take me aside and say little things here and there, but I needed more than that, I think. And so when you saw me doing that promo, not one time did anybody ever stop to help me or say, well, maybe you should try this way. And to be honest with you, they never let me talk.
Yeah.
I would always be like in the center, and they would say, play with your nails. Pretend you're biting your nails, or flick your finger, or do. And I'm standing there like this, you know, and it's like, that's not much of a character.